paper name is a study on base Bangla music genre classification using machine learning approach. So this is my content. First off, I discuss about introduction, then overview, then we discuss the problem of existing research and
Let me
material
go to
method
the
experiment.
the work methodology and results discussions, so that
Okay,
it saves a lot of time and we can have more discussions rather than the introduction and
okay, sir.
the
Okay,
contents.
okay, sir. So I am using KNN here. This is this. So for first classification, I'm using KNN here. KNN is work as a KNN is Kenya's neighbor, also known as a KNN. It's a non-parametric supervised learning classifiers, which is used to approximately make classification or prediction about grouping an individual data point. So this is more effective to use broad or large data set and noisy data set actually. And we also use to classification to detect the voice, we use uh, MFCC, that means male frequency capture coefficient is a capsum is a representation of short-term power spectrum of sound based a linear Gaussian transform of a log power spectrum of on a nonlinear metal male capsule quiescent of frequency male coincidence capsular coincidences are confidence that collective makeup and efficiently. So the problem of existence research, there is a lot of work in English music genre classification, but in Bengali music genre classification there is not much work as I said. File and they type the song and they input it and then the machine read. So there is no noticeable work about the audio file uploaded and the machine can predict the sound. And another problem is, so when we start our research, we saw that there is no data set to continue our research. So we need to start from the first of the time. So we collect we have a lot of issue to make the database data set, so we make it public for the future research actually. So this is our methodology. So first we collect the raw data, then we pre-process it, and then we feature extract it, and after that we train our model, and the model classify the song and predict the result. So in raw data we can we use, there is a lot of genre in Bengali music like Nazrul Giti, Robindra Giti, Adhunik, Band, Baul, classic. So we use four of them, Nuzul Giti, Baul, Adhunik, and Bent as a primary experiment. The each song was 5 to 6 minutes, and in total of the storage was 1.2 GB, and the frequency was raw data was 11,225 hertz, and the bit of 16 bit, and the format was MP3, and the total quantity of the song was 200 for 4 genre. After pre-processing, we use Odyssey software as a uh, made the frequency, and we cut the song in major 30 second, and we have why major 30 second, few song we can see there is a lot of noise or silence in few songs, so the songs is not much capable for the machine or our system, so we cut them in major 30 second, like where the music start and in equivalent stage, and then we set the frequency 2050 kilohertz, and we need to upload them in a website that we built, so that's why the format of the audio will be wave actually. So after pre-processing, this is our methodology. First of all, we cut the songs and we send it in feature extraction path, and we use MFCC to classifier model trend, and then classifier predict the result, and it show the result. So at the experiment, first experiment, we take 5 songs from each genre, and we get 52 to 57% accuracy for 4 genre. So then we increase our quantity of song. We then take 20 song from each genre, and it's increase the accuracy to 60 to 67%. Then we reach our final quantity is 50 with that we have uploaded. It's make the result to 69 to 76%. So what we see that after increasing our trained data, the results show more accurately. So after that, we come to a result analysis part. So uh, we compare it with a English music genre classification site, that they are showing that their gate 68 to 75% accuracy. Some of case they are most of case they are under 70%, but in our classification algorithm say predict 3 of them in upper to 70% accuracy. It's, make 74% at Adhunik, 76% at band, and 71% at bowl, and 69% at nose roll. So uh, in English, it's get in total in average 69% accuracy, but in Bengali we get 74% accuracy. So we get 76% top accuracy, and our model can predict the song perfectly. So this is the web view of our project. So here you can upload a song, choose a file to select the file, and then you press the submit button to submit it. And after a while, it will predict the result like here band, and it will also play the song, and it will say the accuracy level that you can predict. And if you need more song to listen, you can just click here. This is our web view, and the application we can use it to recommendation purpose. Like if we can see in a marriage or any party that there is a lot of issue to choosing songs, so you can recommend it because someone need a band song or someone need a different kind of song, so you can recommend them to hear. And there is no public at first as far as I said, there is no public data set for Bangla music classification, so we are going to make it public. So if anyone want to make a future research, they can use it comfortably. So in our future work, we just thought the system will play understanding user feelings, though like what the user feel like right now, they will the system will play the song for his mood changing or supporting role. And we also make a Bangla music platform like Spotify and others that have that people is Bengali, especially Bengali people can enjoy of music of Bengali music, so they can find different kind of song they if they want. So next we come to our conclusion. We have a lot developed. We have developed a straightforward yet highly efficient system of classification the many Bengali music subgenre. We have investigated a KNN model that we goes beyond the traditional machine learning technique for identify Bengali music genre. As the result of our investigation of emphasized in the part of our literature review. Along with the feature extraction and the feature vector comparison, the KNN classifier also explain the outcome of few different KNN implementation are shown, the improve of the accuracy and the precision of the general classifier. More aspect of the reduction method of the put in into the partition. It is clear that some of the struggle element are effectively compared to the other factor and lower the overall quantity of the general categorization. We assessed the outcome of and the compile a list. This essay demonstrated that we compared to the literature review classification and the precision and accuracy of the struggle genre are observably. Those are our reference that we find
Thank you.
from internet.
Thank you, Abdul, for your wonderful presentation.
Thank you so much.
So quickly go ahead with the next presenter for the day. I call upon the next presenter. Do we have Karpagam? Soumya K? Russell
Yes,
Care?
sir. Yes, sir.
Don't
Soumya
match
is
that.
available.
Okay, please share your presentation, Soumya.
Sir, my screen is visible, sir. Hello, sir.
Yes, please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon to one and all present here. I am Soumya. Today I am going to present my project under the topic Bandwidth and Power Cost Optimized MAC Protocol over a Visible Light Communication System. The main aim of my project is to stimulate a program for indoor visible light communication environment based on MAC protocol and particle swarm optimization algorithm, where it consists of positioning of transmitter using 4 LEDs and receiver as a photodiode. These are the content present on my project. The main objective of my project is to transmit the data using a visible light communication system. Why it is visible light communication? It is known as a green technology. While the LED transmit the data, the energy consumption of LED is about 100 milliwatt. The energy efficiency is too high. Here, the smart indoor lighting, communication and positioning aspects due to the low energy consumption and green protection, then it has a rich spectrum resource. It offers a free spectrum and high data rate, which potentially serves and complement technology to the current ratio frequency standards. These are some literature survey where MAC protocol, it is nothing but a medium access control protocol have achieved two main objectives. First is the creation of network infrastructure. Next is to share the communication medium fairly and efficiently. In order to achieve the working principle of proposed system, as shown here, the section is divided into two. First is a digital section and the analog section. And digital section consists of a MAC player that accommodates the communication path setting that have packing of sending data and the unpacking of receiving data. Then the digital block performs to convert the bit stream into analog signal. Then the unlock section functioned as an unlock signal processing, consists of switching the LEDs and pre-amplifier, op-amp, transmitting switch, and sections of LED drives as a transmitter and a photodiode as a receiver. Next, particle swarm optimization algorithm. It is the best way to find the maximum and the minimum of a function defined in the multidimensional vector space. First is capacity learning and capacity developing. Capacity learning is a top level learning. It describes a learning ability of an algorithm to adaptively change its parameter structure or a learning potential according to the search state of a problem to be solved. Next is a capacity learning. It is a bottom level learning. It describes the ability of an algorithm to find the better solution from the current solution with the learning capability it possessed. This is a flowchart of my algorithm. Next, proposed system. The proposed system consists of various stages as image acquisition, pre-processing, number of plate localization, and mainly it consists of transmitter, receiver, and the different channels. Every kind of light source has a transmitting device for the LED. The receiving consists of an optical element to collect and radiation into the receiving photodiode. This is a block diagram of my project. A serial to parallel converter takes a data streams value that's 11011001 and forms a parallel stream, which is then sent to the mapper that outcomes a complex number. The mapper could be a phase shift keying, quadratic adaptive modulation, differential phase shift keying. Then it's sent to the inverse Fourier transform, is then applied to the parallel stream of a complex number, resulting in an orthogonal signal on the subchannel. In order to improve the effects of ISI, that is intersymbol interference, a guard interval is inserted at the transmitter and it is removed at the receiver side. The orthogonal signals are converted into the serial stream. After the upconverting the signal to the desired carrier frequency, the signal is then transmitted using the piezo algorithm. At the receiving side, the process described above is reversed. It started with the down converting the received signal. The resultant signal is then passed into the cyclic prefix, where it is a key element of enabling the OFDMI signal to operate the variable. The cyclic prefix acts as a buffer region to protect the OFDMI signal from the intersymbol interference. After it passes through the serial to parallel converter, a guard interval is removed, an FFTMA block, a demodulator, then it will pass to the MRC, where MRC is nothing but stands for maximum ratio. It is a combination is used to resolve the signal into the original shape, and finally it causes to the parallel to serial converter to eventually obtain the transmitted data. In the absence of fading and noise, the data transmitted is recovered without any error. This is the initial stage of my project. This is the initial, we have to set the space between the lights, space between the detector, and irradiant angle is attested. Irradiant angle is nothing but the amount of energy emitted at each wavelength from the radiated samples such as LEDs, etc. This is the samples we are taken. For corresponding sample, the 3D plot of the room received power dissipation is shown here. This is for SASO, the corresponding graphs, that is throughput, gain, power consumption. Here, the proposed system enhanced the bit error rate performance throughput for the possible channel gain of a MAMO over a SASO. Visible light communication compared to the other conventional system, the bit error ratio of the proposed system has improved by 10 to the power minus 5 at the signal noise ratio equals to 20 dB. That I conclude the proposed system of a visible light communication based on position system modified by the particle swarm optimization is done. In this system, each LED transmits a unique signal to terminal. The analog estimate the position according to the message received by the terminal. By this simulation, we improve the positioning system has been highly precision and a good speedability, which reflects on the low complexity. These are the reference of my project. Thank you.
Thank you for your presentation. Well, we can go ahead with the next presenter.
Yes, just good afternoon.
Yeah, please share your presentation.
Yes, thank you. Can you see my screen? Sorry, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Good afternoon and welcome to this presentation. The title of this project is Revolutioning the World of Social Impact Bonds, the business case for DLTs and blockchain experiments. Just let me to introduce the concept of social impact bonds. Social impact bonds emerged as an innovative financial instrument able to introduce a social innovation in the typical service delivery made by the public sector. Social impact bonds are a new mechanism for the commissioning and upfront financing of public services using outcome-based contracts. Since the launch of the first social impact bond in the United Kingdom in 2010, social impact bonds have received increased attention from scholars, practitioners, and policymakers. Social impact bonds can be defined as a public-private partnership conceived not only to overcome the typical shortcomings of traditional public and tier sector service provision, but also as a way to bring more innovation to service provision. Social impact bonds are created around a series of contracts and agreements between all the involved parties. Let me to share the typical model of social impact bond, in which you can see all the involved actors in a social impact bond model. On the left side, you have the commissioner, is usually a public sector authority like a minister or a public sector authority, and that decide to provide a service to a target population by using the capital provided by private investors. For this reason, the commissioner is ask to the intermediary to, that is usually a social finance intermediary or usually a bank, to raise the money by involving private investors. So the investors usually expect to receive back their capital plus a return. The financial resources raised by the intermediary are then transferred to the service provider, usually a social enterprise that materially deliver the service to the target population. After the service delivery, we have another step in the model that is the independent evaluation made by an independent evaluator that say, okay, the outcome, the predefined level of outcome has been achieved, and so the commissioner can pay the investors, can pay back the investors. On the contrary, in the case in which the level of outcome is not achieved, the commissioner do not pay the investors and the investors lose their money. This is an innovative model used by the public sector, especially in UK, United States and Australia, and we have a lot of social impact bonds that are now used in also in several developing countries. What are the main motivation for implementing social impact bond projects? The main motivation for the public sector is obviously the fact that risks can be shared between the public sector, from the public sector to the private sector. The public sector can raise money from private investors, and in the narrative of social impact bonds, many authors say that social impact bonds are able to introduce social innovation in the delivery of typical services. If we look at the investors, the main motivation is that they can receive a high rate of return, because this kind of instruments are very risky. And at the same time, investors are motivated not only by the financial return, but also by the idea to do something good for the society, for the community. Similarly, institutional investors can be interested in social impact bond projects because they can invest also in some sectors in which they usually do not invest. For the foundation or charitable organization, usually they are interested in social impact bonds because there is the recycling grant phenomena, so they can invest their money, and in case of achievement of the predefined level of outcome, they can reinvest the same amount in another project. Finally, the service providers, usually social enterprises, are motivated to join social impact bonds because social impact bonds can provide them a stable and long-term revenue stream. At the same time, social impact bonds are financial instruments, so they are risky, and we have some risks that are typical of financial instruments and other risks that are typical of public-private partnerships. So, for example, we have risks related, for example, to the partnership, to the involvement of several actors and with different attitudes to invest or to work in a public-private scheme. At the same time, we have a lot of works, academic works, that have highlighted what are the critical success factors in a social impact bond project. First of all, the main critical success factors is related to the involvement of several actors, and at the same time, one of the main characteristics of social impact bond is that the payment to the investors is made only in case of measurement of after the measurement of the outcome, of the level of the outcome achieved. So for this reason, it can be critical to have a way to measure the level of outcome achieved. But there is another aspect that is critical, like, for example, the kind of data we can use to assess the level of outcome achieved. For this reason, we are working on the idea to apply the digital ledger technologies and the blockchain technologies to this kind of instrument. We know that we have several works that already have discussed the idea to use the LTS and blockchain technologies in the public sector. And we have also several practical cases, like the case of UNACRE, of the World Food Programme. So they are developing database using the LTS and blockchain, able to give to the investors or to the donors the idea of what they are doing with their money. What can be how it can be used, applied to blockchain? First of all, we can use them to share the information between all the involved parties. So, for example, the social enterprises can add the information about the level of the level of services provided, or the number of people that have been involved in the project, for example. Or, for example, the public sector can trace all the input and output in the model. What can be the pro of using DLT and blockchain technologies in social impact bond? Absolutely increased transparency and accountability, because we have a problem from the public side of accountability. So the government must show how the resources are used. So this can be a good idea to show to the taxpayers how the money of the public sector are used. Opportunities for scalability and trading, because to date we don't have, in all the existing social impact bonds, we don't have private investors involved. We don't have retail investors involved, but only philanthropic organizations, charities, donors, and so on. So this can be a good idea also to involve private investors, because if private investors can trace their money or the money they have provided, so maybe they can be interested in working to be involved in this kind of project. And finally, opportunity to measure in a more trustable way the impact created, because one of the most important aspects in social impact bonds, but in general in the social impact investing movement, is the measurement of the impact created. And if we don't have clear data or shared data, it's not possible to measure in a trustable way the impact created. Finally, we have at the same time some cons, like, for example, the limited digital capacity and literacy of the public sector, the limited view to the technology of the public sector. So it's not easy to develop this kind of technology and to apply it on the social impact bond market. So for this reason, we are working, so our future research direction are devoted to review existing case of social impact bonds based on smart contracts and DLT technologies, and then we would like to develop a prototype. These are our future research direction. Thank you for your attention.
I'm sorry, do I share now?
Yeah, Ruth, please share the presentation.
Do I share now?
Yes, yes.
Thank you. All right, my name is Ruth Tiap, and I am from the Philippines. I'll be sharing with you or talking about the education in the in the 4P program, which of course I hope to get input from all of you. Okay, are you seeing my screen? Hi, are you seeing my screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you very much. Education has always been thought of as one of the answers to the problem of poverty. Uneducated citizens make a progressive nation, as we all know. So governments pour in money to invest in education. Thus, even in poverty alleviation programs, there is an educational component. In the Philippines, we have also conditional cash transfer, which we call by the name 4Ps, or in Filipino, Pantawid Pamilyang Filipino Program. What is the objective of this? To increase human development index by reducing poverty and improving human capital. So the government invests in family through health, nutrition, education. Yearly, its budget increases continuously. So 62 billion in 2016, 89 billion in 2021, and 169 billion this year. What is the problem? What is the impact of 4P in the literacy rate of its beneficiaries? If we really want to improve the plight of these people, we have to know if the education that is being given them is working. So what is the rate of literacy for the beneficiaries? And how can the educational successes of the child while inside the 4P be sustained even after exiting the program? So here are the questions that were given to the interviewees. How has the 4P improved a beneficiary's educational life? How does a beneficiary see this educational aspect improved? And how does a beneficiary see himself upon exit in the 4P program? This was the methodology used. 3 mothers and 2 grandmothers and 3 schoolgirls were interviewed through a focus group discussion. They were purposely selected. They were all beneficiaries of the programs, and they were among the poorest of the poor. And these were my findings. Perception of education of the beneficiaries interviewed. For them, education, for both the parents and the children, education is just a rite of passage. It is just going through the motions without deeply thinking of the implication of why it is being done, or what it is for, or how it can help them in the future. Another is education is going to school. Good attendance is maintained so as not to be removed from the program, because their attendance is being checked daily, even quarterly. If they will not be attending school, they will be removed automatically from the program, and their benefits or the things that are being given them will be removed. So those are the perceptions of the people on education. Other findings is perception and paying forward, meaning to say, what are they to give after they exit from the program? It is found out that little or no effort to excel or good grades are being given by the children in the program. There is little also or no initiative from these children to join school activities or extracurricular activities to improve or to join the school activities. And there is no desire to participate in school-driven activities. As to their future plans, it is found out that there is little or no future plans. They have no future plans after exiting the program. And there is little or no thought on how to give back to the community that is helping them now. So it makes one think. It makes one think. How is literacy rate improving the lives of these children? How are they now going to improve their lives and other people's life and even their community's life if they are giving no thought on how to give back to the community or to help themselves get better in school? We don't need them to be excellent or number 1, but we need them to at least exert an effort to make their grades or their plight better. So here are the recommendations. Number one, strengthening of literacy rates by introducing programs specifically to build and boost the beneficiaries' cognitive skills. We don't need them to be number one, as I've said, but we need to boost their cognitive skills and improve it. Number two, promote programs that specifically tap the innate talents and skills of the beneficiaries. We know that every child is different from the other. So one may be good in academics, the other no, but there definitely is a strength in the child, whether in academics, athletics, even in arts, in our vocational skills. So let's promote programs that specifically tap the innate skills and talents of the beneficiaries. Number three, assigning programs, projects, and activities that will push the beneficiaries to strive, aspire, and help the community. We have to be intentional. Let's be intentional in making them push themselves more. And finally, purposive mentoring program to deepen the beneficiaries' commitment to the program. We have to assign teachers, mentors who will walk alongside the children so that they will commit to the program, not only while they are in the program, but even after exiting in the program. And that's it for my paper. Thank you very much for listening. Here are my references. Thank you for listening.
Yeah, so good evening, everyone. I'm Ashutosh Joshi, second year MTech student from Control Systems, Bhubaneswar Technical Institute, Mumbai. And I'm working under the guidance of Dr. Surendra Bhosle, HOD of Electrical Department, same institute. And the topic of my paper is reinforcement learning model for electromagnetic signature reduction of naval vessel. So this is the presentation outline. So initially I'll be giving the introduction to what is electromagnetic signature reduction, commonly known as degaussing. Then I will be discussing the Q learning algorithm developed, the simulation model design and its results. Next is the results of signature reduction using the proposed reinforcement learning approach. And then I will be discussing the limitations and future work, and finally the references. So initially, what is degaussing? So generally for ferromagnetic substances, due to Earth's magnetization, induced magnetization, and Earth's geomagnetic field, the magnetic signatures get generated. And especially in military systems and naval vessels, and since these are made up of ferromagnetic vessels, if these magnetic signatures are detected by some enemy tanks or any other weapon systems, then it will be a security threat to our system. So in order to avoid this, we have to reduce these signatures. So in the figure shown, we can see in all the three directions, these signatures are generated. So our aim is to keep these signatures to 0 level so that these are not detected by the enemy tanks. So for this, I'm using a reinforcement learning based approach called Q learning. So it is a type of machine learning. So machine learning is of 3 types: supervised, which is based on labeled datasets; unsupervised, which is not based on labeled datasets; and reinforcement learning is learning from mistakes based on experience. So this is an overview of reinforcement learning method, where machine takes an action, environment gives some reward or penalty, and this continues until the desired level of iterations is not reached. This is the block diagram for degaussing using reinforcement learning based approach. So first step will be the predicting the magnetic signatures. So for this, I am using console multiphysics simulation software. The second step will be declaring the states, actions, and the reward, which I will be using in the Q learning algorithm. Third step will be performing the degaussing, that is running the code. Fourth step will be obtaining the degauss signatures and verifying the signature reduction, what percentage we are achieving. Then finding the optimal values which we need to apply for the degaussing coils, and finally obtaining the accuracy of signature reduction. So this is the algorithm developed. The first step, as I already mentioned, it is initializing the state and action vectors and defining the rewards. Second step, agent will start with some random state. Agent will take some action and receive reward. And third step will be, it will go to the Q table, update the Q table, and the equation which I have mentioned here, updating the Q values using this equation. Alpha represents the learning rate and gamma represents the discounting factor. So these steps are repeated until the desired number of iterations is reached. So these are the simulation model parameters which I have used. I have considered cylindrical vessels with the length as 10 meters, diameter as 1 meter, And for water, I have used some diameter as a spherical in shape with diameter of 10 meters. Permeability of water, I have taken standard value as 1 and permeability of ferromagnetic material as 700. So this is the pictorial representation of my ferromagnetic vessel using COMSOL multiphysics software. The sphere represents the water surface, and the cylindrical shape, one thing, it represents the naval vessel. This is the same enlarged view of that particular naval vessel, which is in cylindrical shape. So these are the simulation results. This is for X component. We can see we are getting some magnetic signatures. This is for Y component, and this is for Z component. So if we see carefully in all the three directions, this is the summary. And on an average, 300 microtesla magnetic signatures are getting generated. Now, if these signatures are detected by enemy tanks, then it will pose a security threat. So for stealth mode of operation of naval vessel, we have to bring down this value to a significant level. That is what we are performing, is called as degaussing. So once we perform the degaussing, we can see the degaussing results here. This is for X component. I have given comparison without degaussing and with degaussing both. This is for X component, Y component, and Z component. So to summarize, I have presented the data in the tabular format. If we see in all the three directions, we are getting accuracy of about 96% and an average accuracy of 96.75% of signature reduction, which is a very high value. So that is what I have mentioned here. Now this I have performed for 1000 iterations of Q-learning algorithm. This accuracy further we want to increase, then we can increase the number of iterations and achieve whatever accuracy is needed for the particular application. So what are the advantages of the proposed method? First thing is the accuracy, the 96% accuracy, which I already shown in the results. And the second, the most important thing is the optimal value of degaussing currents. So for each degaussing coil, we have to apply some current. So once this one run of code is completed, we get the optimal value of currents which we need to apply to each coil. That is the biggest advantage of this proposed method. So this is the comparison with the standard algorithms. So I have presented two algorithms, particle sum optimization and Cuckoo algorithm. So if we see compared to both these algorithms, the accuracy of our proposed method is very high. So this conclusion and future work. So this method is very efficient in terms of accuracy as well as optimal solution. So one thing which I would like to mention is that I have considered cylindrical shaped vessel, but in general, these vessels have irregularities that is not considered, that can be considered in future. And the second thing is degaussing coils here are placed on the boundary of the vessel. So in future, we can try placing them inside and outside of the vessel, as well as different shapes of degaussing coils that can be also implemented in future. These are some selected references which I have referred. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation. Nice. We will now go ahead with the next presenter then.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Good work. We'll go ahead. Is there any other next presenter? Are we done with the presentation? Anyone is still pending?
Yeah,
Please, John, please share. George, please share your presentation.
So I'll do that after this.
Yes, share your presentation, please.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, and good day to everyone. I'm presenting on private capital flows and energy consumption in Africa, the role of local financial markets and institutions. This is a paper I'm doing with two other colleagues. So this is just by way of outline. Energy is paramount because of sustainable development in the medium to long term, and it depends largely on stable and affordable energy devoid of the environmental effect. Now, with persistent growth in energy demand, we see that, and it's also due to rapid urbanization, and therefore there's a need to look at the role that domestic financial markets and institutions play in enhancing energy consumption in Africa. Now, financial market development is very essential because it enhances savings and investment allocation mechanisms in the financial sector, and these have been noted to drive economic growth in many countries. And we believe that vibrant financial markets and institutions should condition the relationship between private capital flows and energy consumption. As a matter of fact, prior studies have looked at how financial markets and institutions moderate the relationship between private capital flows and economic growth. And we believe that this relationship can also impact on energy consumption. So in this study, we examined the moderating role of the local financial markets and institutions in private capital flows and energy consumption nexus in Africa. We think that if the financial markets develop or become vibrant with strong institutions, then we should be able to attract more private capital flows that can help with enhancing developments in the energy sector, and that of course will translate into energy consumption. Now, the uniqueness of this paper lies in the fact that it uses all three components of private capital flows, here being foreign direct investment, foreign portfolio investment, and then private debt flows. And we interact these variables with domestic financial market indicators, of course, with our private capital flows, which are represented by these three main indicators. So once we interact these, we believe that that will have an impact on energy consumption. Now, by way of literature, private capital flows obviously has a direct effect on overall production process in any economy, and this is through industrialization and infrastructure development. And of course, the use of traditional energy and its adverse environmental and production costs tend to put the effect of FDI inflows on energy into two main components. One is composition, and the other one is a technique, or if you like, technology. Now, a consumption effect actually involves structural dynamics in the economy, such as minimizing one sector and expanding the other, or scaling down on growth or development in one sector and then driving expansion in another. The technique effect tend to require the transformation of novel technology to replace outmoded ones. And we see a lot of discussion on moving or migrating from non-renewable energy to renewable energy. And we think that these are very important developments that should engage the discourse and help to enhance energy consumption in Africa and many developing countries. Now, our methodology specifies this simple model that says energy consumption, it's a function. So our energy consumption is a function of private capital flows, local financial markets, okay? And then, of course, we control for standard, standard determinants of energy consumption. And we pull our data from different African countries in a panel framework in this investigation. Now, the second model now interacts private capital flows and local financial markets in explaining energy consumption, because we are saying that local financial market should moderate the relationship between private capital flows and then energy consumption. Now, we repeat the same model, but this time we look at institutions, okay, and then interact private capital flows and institutions and explaining energy consumption. So that's the model we use in this empirical investigation. Now, in terms of the results, we found that private foreign direct investment as one of the components has positive relationship with energy consumption. I believe that as African countries are able to attract FDI, that can help improve on development in the energy sector and enhance consumption. We also found that by interacting FDI and institutions, we notice a significant relationship, positive relationship between the interactive term and consumption, energy consumption. We believe that African countries with strong institutions are able to better moderate or attract FDI that can impact positively on energy consumption. Now, also looking at private portfolio flows interacted with institutions, we again found that African countries with strong institutions are able to experience a positive relationship between portfolio flows and energy consumption. Now, in terms of the financial market indicators, we noticed that countries with well-developed capital markets, which were measured by stock market capitalization, we noticed a positive relationship, a significantly positive relationship between stock market capitalization and energy consumption. So countries with a vibrant financial market or capital market are able to experience improvement or growth in energy consumption. And we see the same findings here. And when we even include other measures of financial markets, being stock market turnover, private credit, we see that all of that tend to impact favorably on energy consumption. So we conclude by saying that we observe that private capital flows influence energy consumption in Africa. We also note that African countries with efficient institutions, quality institutions, and more efficient financial markets, as well as openness of the financial system, are able to enhance energy consumption. And therefore recommend that African policymakers need to strengthen various institutions to be able to boost investor confidence, attract foreign investors into the local economy, to enhance the energy sector, to improve on energy use and consumption. The financial market certainly need to be vibrant and transparent enough to be able to attract foreign investors. And the issue of liberalization should play a very important role in this respect. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your wonderful presentation, sir. Nice work indeed. Thank you.